the thing is, there is so much content. I consume so much finance content on YouTube that I see people who have actually retired at 30, 35, and they are living their lives. So it really concerns me that am I capable of doing this? Because I think that if I retire, let's say, then I will get out of this whole corporate rat race, and then I'll be able to live life fully. But on the other hand, I don't know if that is the way to go about it or not. So I just don't know what to do about it. I am investing what I need to do. I am having some kind of asset allocation. Yes, not completely what Pattu sir suggests of 60-40 equity, and I'm not able to follow that because of this problem only, that I just want to invest 100% in equity so that I get good enough. I actually don't even assume 10% return what Pattu sir says in my financial calculators. I assume 14-15% return, so that I just want to see that okay, I will be able to build enough good enough corpus as soon as possible, earn money. I really want to go on site, earn as much money as possible, and then just retire and get out of this as quickly. But the thing is that yeah, I don't think that this is the right way to go about life. So that is why I really wanted to get help from Pattu sir regarding this. That is why the comment.
Another episode of Let's Get Rich with Pattu. It's that time of the week when we need to think, reassess, contemplate about, review our numbers as well, and basically dedicate a little bit of time towards securing our futures, financially at least. Or for for most of you, it is that time of the week when you just sit back, listen to your favorite Pattu, make us smile, and yet give us financial advice practically, as well as give us a lot of hope, because becoming financially independent is possible. Like, that's something that Pattu repeats on every single episode. You need to start to believe it. But before much ado, hi Pattu, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing great and looking forward to this episode.
Yes, particularly this episode, and I'll tell you all why. Because this is the first episode, it is our fourth, where we get a real fan of Pattu's. Of course, we urge all our podcast listeners to send in their questions. You can be on the show just like Shubham is about to. Shubham, thank you so much for giving us your time. And we've just found out that you've applied for work from home just to be on this episode with Pattu. But of course, it's Pattu. So thank you very much and welcome.
Thank you so much. The pleasure is all mine. I'm really looking forward.
Amazing. You can't believe how much we are as well, right? We always hope to get real user cases, real scenarios, and that's what the show is all about, right? Listening to real questions and real situations that people are going through, and how Pattu genuinely can guide you and help you. But I must introduce today's topic and what Shubham's comment on Pattu's YouTube video was all about. Today's topic is basically what this show might be all about, right? And the reason we began to think about this, the topic is retirement. It is not financial independence, but something that many confuse it to be very similar to, and that is retirement, right? Shubham, would you like to tell us about your comment, or should I read it out for all our listeners and then ask you about it? What would you prefer?
Yeah, you can read it out. I think that will be better. What led to this?
All right. So a few days ago, Rajesh from our team was going through Pattu's videos, as he does on a regular basis. A lot of other people spend time on other videos. Rajesh spends time on Pattu's YouTube channel. Hi, sir. Hope you're doing good. I am 24 and investing a good amount, 70,000 plus monthly towards my retirement goals. Shubham, you're already a star on our show, but we'll deal with that later. My expenses as of now are 25,000 per month. However, still there's always this hurry and greed to earn more and get financially independent ASAP. That's why I invest very little in debt as of now. Only EPF, which is Employee Provident Fund, and 1.5 lakhs, which is the maximum you can invest in the Public Provident Fund. Just because I want more returns from equity so that I can build a large enough corpus quickly. It gets toxic at times because I feel I am not able to appreciate life fully because of money. On top of that, there's so much FOMO, which is fear of missing out, getting created, and it almost feels like a pressure to retire by age 30. I cannot completely deny that I myself want to retire as soon as possible, but I don't know how to manage this properly. Any insights on this, sir? Asking you as a student, as I really look up to you. Before we go to Pattu, by the way, I should stop talking this much. The show is all about Pattu. But quick question to you, Shubham.
Yes.
What made you write this question, and tell us truly about what you're feeling and struggling with?
Yeah, sure. So, like, on one hand, there are a set of people which I meet and they constantly like appreciate me, like you are appreciating. But like, I'm investing so much, and I know, like, if I go the conventional route, I will be able to retire by 40 or 50, because I read one of Pattu sir's post, like, if we have to invest basically 2x, 3x of our monthly expenses, so it is a good enough amount to retire comfortably at around 50. But the thing is, there is so much content. I consume so much finance content on YouTube that I see people who have actually retired at 30, 35, and they are living their lives. So it really concerns me that am I capable of doing this? Because I think that if I retire, let's say, then I will get out of this whole corporate rat race, and then I'll be able to live life fully. But on the other hand, I don't know if that is the way to go about it or not. So I just don't know what to do about it. I am investing what I need to do. I am having some kind of asset allocation. Yes, not completely what Pattu sir suggests of 60-40 equity. And I'm not able to follow that because of this problem only, that I just want to invest 100% in equity so that I get good enough. I actually don't even assume 10% return what Pattu sir says in my financial calculators. I assume 14-15% return, so that I just want to see that, okay, I will be able to build enough good enough corpus as soon as possible, earn money. I really want to go on site, earn as much money as possible, and then just retire and get out of this as quickly. But the thing is that, yeah, I don't think that this is the right way to go about life. So that is why I really wanted to get help from Pattu sir regarding this. That is why the comment.
And the reason you took your day off, Pattu sir, over to you. I've seen you smiling widely through Shubham's question.
So this is quite interesting because we have two sets of students in a class, and one set of kids, they are bright and they're doing everything right, and the other set just don't care. So the people who don't care, they don't care. But the people who do everything right, they are always worried about if they're doing something, if they're missing something out, and if they're doing enough. And I think Shubham belongs to that category. And I think he is doing more than enough at the moment to manage his finances, plan for his retirement. And I think he's got an excellent savings rate. A savings rate is typically defined as the amount you invest divided by the post-tax income. And I think Shubham's savings rate should be pretty good. And you can see that he's investing about almost three times his monthly expenses.
Yes.
Excuse me. But of course, that will change with time. But he's doing everything right at the moment. But what I would recommend is just slow down. I think you are thinking too much about your future. Just slow down, enjoy the present. Maybe you can even reduce your investment a little bit and enjoy life once in a while. And just chill and relax. Don't be in a hurry to say I want to retire at 30. What are you going to do after 30? I mean, it's just I started investing at 32. So but it's fantastic. It's wonderful to see young earners today so focused about their future. And I think what I admire the most with Shubham is the confidence that he will have enough for retirement. I'm sure he must have punched in some numbers to have a look at what he needs. And that is going to be daunting for anybody his age, because that will be 1 crore and more, even a couple of crores and more, easily more than that. So, and most people would say, I'm going to give up. I'm never going to retire. Forget about retiring at 30. But here we have a guy who's focused, perhaps a little too much for his own good, I would say. So he's doing pretty much everything right. I just would recommend him to slow down a bit.
Shubham, you genuinely are a star on Let's Get Rich with Pattu. Not only are you the first person we've actually had during a live recording, you're also somebody who seems to have assimilated everything Pattu has said for so many years and are doing it so right. All right, so I want to go to the next section of this podcast about Shubham's problem, Pattu. Firstly, something that's been stuck in my mind for the last 1 week, and I've been telling my wife, I've been telling my parents all about this, and my friends as well, is 30 times yearly expenditure should be your target for financial independence. Can we briefly touch upon the math behind that and why you gave us that kind of a target?
So, first, let me clarify that 30 times annual expenses is, or 30x as it's colloquially called, is the initial target for getting into the threshold of financial independence. And it just means the following. So let's say my annual annual expenses are X, and I'm about to retire right away. So I'm going to assume some kind of inflation after retirement. Let's say that's about 6%. And I'll be investing my corpus and withdrawing from it for my expenses. And let's assume that I'm going to invest the whole of my corpus in a variety of assets, some in equity, some in fixed income, some in just cash assets for drawing income every month and so on. And I'm going to assume that the return on the entire portfolio after tax is also 6%. So my inflation assumption is 6%. I'm assuming that my expenses after retirement are going to grow every year at 6%. And I'm assuming that my post-tax return on the corpus, the rest of the corpus, is also 6%. So this means that the real return, that is the return after inflation, is essentially zero. They are both the same. The inflation assumption and the return assumption are the same. If that happens, then if I say that I want to be retired for 30 years, that's my entire retirement tenure. Of course, for Shubham, it's going to be a lot more if he actually does manage to
60
retire.
60 years, double that.
Yeah. So things are going to be a little different. For a normal person, it's going to be about 30 years in retirement, just in case. So that would mean that 30x corpus would mean that the corpus would last for 30 years. So the inflation is 6%, the rate of return is 6%. Then if I say I have 30x, that means I have a corpus that will last me for 30 years. That's a very colloquial way to.
And should we qualify that by saying that is only applicable to somebody who's about to retire right now?
Absolutely. Who
so
actually
that
has
leads to another question, Pattu.
Yes.
For example, I know my current expenses. Let's take Shubham's example. Right? That's perfect. We've got Shubham on this episode for that. Like Shubham's expenses are 25,000 rupees a month, 3 lakh a year. Therefore, his target, if he wants to retire today, should be 90 lakh. Have I got that right? Right? And he's investing 70,000 rupees a month plus, so say 8.5 lakh per year. At 10%, what? He can reach that in 5 years. Right? So what is it that is it as easy as that?
For Shubham, it's as easy as that because he's actually able to invest nearly 3 times his expenses. For most people, it is not. We have to be very careful about this because most people can't even manage.
It's impossible. I can't even wrap my mind around that, Shubham.
Yeah.
So big high five to you.
No, it's the fact that he started early. I think the key point here is that it's not about the amount he invests. The fact that he started so early, and that's going to give him that runway to build wealth. And after 10 years, 15 years, it's going to be an astonishing amount of wealth. Provided, everything, life allows him to, invest regularly. But I would also like to clarify that this 30x is not actually a serious retirement calculation. If somebody says I have 30x corpus, it just means that person has got some options.
Right.
It doesn't actually mean that person can actually send in a resignation and never work again, never worry about updating their CV and put their feet up. That's not how it works. It just means that I've got options. I can now switch to a less demanding job. I can work for less number of hours a week. So that 30x gives you some options. That's about it.
So the second question that brings to mind, Pattu, is that take my case, for example, right? Retirement, we'll get to the philosophy of retirement. But I know my expenses today. If I want to retire in, say, 20 years, right? I want to stop earning or getting any kind of inflow of, active earnings. How do I calculate my expenses 20 years from now? Is there any kind of formula or what's a fair way to judge that? So then we can do the math after that.
So you'll have to look at your inflation, the rate at which your expenses are increasing. And by inflation, it's not what the government says it is. The government usually declares the
It's currently at what, 6 or 7%?
yes, the cost inflation index or the wholesale price index, whatever it is, they're declaring that has got very little to do with the actual rate at which our expenses are increasing. And if you actually sat down and looked at the numbers over the past few years, for all of us, it would be the big chunk of why our expenses increased year on year is because we are buying new things, we are embracing new forms of technology, we want new kinds of experiences. So it's what is known as lifestyle creep. And it can be both positive or negative. I mean, in the sense that if you want to buy bigger and better gadgets or take bigger and better holidays, it's probably in some sense positive. But at the same time, someone can have an illness, suddenly be struck with an illness, and their medical bills can suddenly increase every month. So lifestyle creep can happen in both ways, in different set of ways. Or for example, someone wanted one kid and they got themselves twins. So
Right.
that's gonna change.
That is a scary moment. I've been through it.
It's a dynamic, right? So the point is that actual inflation over the past few years for most people would be anywhere between 8% to 10%.
Right. So safe to assume 10%?
It depends on how, if they are really living it up, it'll probably be 10%.
But that's a scary number, isn't it, Pattu?
Yes, but it may not be 10% all the way up to your retirement. I mean, people do slow down with age, or
Right.
or they just grow up, and so things happen.
So Shubham, what will your expenses be in 5 or 6 years' time by age 30?
Yeah, so
If you take 10%.
I have a really important question which I have
Sure.
which I wanted to ask Pattu sir. So the thing is with this 30x number, I think Pattu sir, but we do not consider at all, like you said, the major life events which will occur. Let's say I know that I will have a kid, and let's say, like you said, that inflation is the biggest contraceptive and all of that. That will happen. Then I will have to spend for their education, and that is a big chunk. That will be a big chunk of my wealth. So, but we do not, if even if we consider 6% or 10% inflation, I think that is not at all enough for that big chunk of money that will go towards my kid, his well-being and all, and then his education, his school education, college education, all of that. So, how do we account for that in our early years, like in our mid-20s, let's say?
There's a extremely simple solution for this. Do your financial planning calculations once a year and update it with renewed inputs. Whatever changes that you have had in your life over the past year, just redo the calculation with those inputs. And that is all. That's the only solution. Because there's a big mistake that many people do. They think that retirement planning or planning for our children's future expenses is a one-time exercise. It's not at all a one-time exercise. Things change so much over 5 years, over half a decade. So we have to do this every year, and the dynamic will change most often not in the direction that we want to. For example, in your case, if you have kids later on, that you will no longer be able to save this 3x for your retirement. You may be able to save 3x, but a part of it will go for your child's future, for their college fees and so on. So this, you have to take this into account and play it by ear to some extent.
Right. So like Siddhant said, I genuinely don't know what my expenses will be at age 30, whether I will have a kid or not by that time. So I'm not sure.
No one knows what. See, what we can estimate is, look at our current lifestyle, and we can project our current lifestyle, assuming we are that's going to be the same after 5 years, and we can project it with some inflation estimate. For example, with 8% inflation, expenses, if I'm not wrong, will double every 7 years.
Yes.
And with 7% inflation, if I'm not wrong, memory serves me right, it will double every 8 years. Something like that. You can always work that out in an Excel, or there are calculators for this. But it's very important to understand that is the expenses today.
Yeah.
And definitely 5 years later, you're going to have a ton of more expenses, new expenses, positive or negative. That is the reason why we need to do the calculation again and again every year with renewed inputs. So it becomes a lot more easier to handle.
Not only do we recommend that you do it once a year, we recommend you do it 52 times a year, which is once a week with Let's Get Rich with Pattu on this particular podcast. But Shubham, you're such a star. I just done the math mentally. I hope I've got this right. Even at 10% inflation, if your expenses go to 50,000 a month, in 7 years, right? Right now, your current investment, even if you take 10% per year for 5 or 10 years, you're fine. It's just incredible. You're crossing 2.5 CR. And, on that note, this might make some listeners of our podcast uncomfortable, right? Some of them might be earning 20,000 rupees a month at your age. Some might not even have begun earning, right? Which is why I want to slowly get into the philosophy of retirement, Pattu, and get your perspectives on this entire craze, right? As Shubham mentioned, it's FOMO. I got such interesting perspectives. A close friend is a doctor, right? And I was talking to him just half an hour before we started recording, and he said a doctor doesn't even start earning by the time he's 30, right? You have doctors who are 95 years old and still serving, going to work every single day, looking at thousands of patients because they simply love what they do. What is your perspective about this rush to get into retirement? Is it because people don't enjoy what they're doing? And Shubham, I mean no disrespect, but I'll also ask you that question. Why is there this rush to stop working?
Absolutely, you hit the nail on the head. It's just that there's too much pressure on the typical corporate employee. See, what happens is you slog it out in school up to about eighth standard or so. In school, the pressure is not that much. You can sort of get away with it. But from 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, there's some kind of pressure from parents, from teachers. Study for this entrance exam, do that, do this. Then they slog it out. They go all through that. They go through the ringer and come out. And then somebody taps you on your shoulder and say, "Look, kid, you've just crossed a small mount. There's a huge mountain called life to, Then they go through college. They go through the whole thing again, and they say, "Okay, now I'm free of college. Now I can work." But then nobody tells you that if somebody pays you a nice fat CTC, it means they want 16, 17 years of your hours of your time every day. And they want you to come in on holidays. They assume that just because it's not a holiday for them, it should not be a holiday for you. They don't respect your personal space or time. So it just builds up. And if we are lucky that we can find something interesting in what we do, maybe we can handle the corporate pressure a little bit. But and if we just hate it, and if we have terrible bosses to boot, then everybody wants to quit. And I want to be make the distinction that when people talk about FIRE or financial independence and early retirement or quitting, they just don't mean that they want to put their feet up for the rest of their life on or travel. Of course, I know people who have done that as well, but not everybody. They just want to do something of their own. They want to become an entrepreneur or do some freelancing or something like that. But the drive comes from not loving your job, and unfortunately, that it can't be helped. It's something that you have to learn to live with, especially if you cannot invest as much as Shubham did. The problem is you are in a job that you hate, but you can't invest at least as much as you spend. Then you are in trouble. But the only way is to find some hobby, find something that you will be happy with. Forget about money, forget about retirement. Just do the basics. Just put away whatever you can. That's all that anybody can do. But focus on your mental and physical well-being. After all, that is our true wealth.
Shubham, what do you have to say about this? I mean, I could listen to Pattu for hours, right? And get inspired and think about life. What is your current state of mind? How much can you share with us in terms of your struggles, the kind of job you do, etc., etc., and why there's this rush to retire in the next 6 years?
Yeah, sure. So like Pattu sir said, like if the company is paying you a fat check, they aren't paying like just like that. They really need your man hours for the entire day. So that is the case with me as well. And the thing is that I am from the tech side. I've done my engineering and I'm on a very back end kind of job where I need to code, let's say 8 to 10 hours a day. And I do not like that much. So and when you get a fat check, it gets even more difficult to quit that job because you think that you have that safety net of that salary coming in every hitting your bank account every month. So it becomes all the more difficult to pursue what you really want to. So that is one of the biggest struggles which I have, right now as well, and I'm figuring it out. I don't know how to get out of it. And that is why I really need time to think that what do I want to do in life. I really don't know what I want to do in life. I just did science. I took up science because parents said. Then I did engineering because my parents told me, and I was happy. And then I'm doing my job. But now I realized in my job, okay, I do not like coding that much. And I really want to do something else. I really need a people's job. I really want to work in fields where money is involved, let's say in finance. That is why I took up the CFA course, which is the Chartered Financial Analyst course. Just because I think that my calling is towards finance. I don't even know that if I get a finance job, will I be happy or not. But the thing is that if I get to retire, then I just have that safety net that, okay, whatever happens, even if I fail at 10 jobs, let's say, which I do, but at least I will have that retirement corpus to last me the entire lifetime. That is why I'm in this hurry to retire as soon as possible so that I can, let's say, explore and try out new things, new jobs, which I'm not able to currently because of the safety net. So yeah.
Phenomenal, Shubham. May your tribe increase. You preempted my next question as well, which was if I had to force you to imagine life 6 years from now and you have achieved a significant corpus, what is it that you, if you had to tell me top of your list, I really want to do that once I quit my job, what would that be? And that's
Yeah.
something that perhaps everyone should think about as well, right, Pattu?
Absolutely.
Yeah, Shubham, what is your answer, if at all?
Yeah, so first of all, I'll be really happy. I'll give myself a pat on the back that I finally did this. And I distinctly remember writing a mail to Pattu sir a few years back also when I just started my job, and I explicitly told him like I was looking for financial help from him. I really wanted to know where wanted to get his advice like for where to invest and all. And so I clearly told him in the mail that I really do not have any goal at this point of time. I do not want to buy a car. I have no expenses. I have no luxury and which I want to, let's say, buy and all. So he said that if you don't have any goal, then retirement becomes your top priority. So I was like, okay, then I need to retire as soon as possible. And if at all I retire, then also I don't know. Like I genuinely think that even if I, let's say, if somebody gives me 5 or 10 crores today, I will have nothing to do with that money. I will probably invest 90% of it in the stock market only because I don't have any expenses or any what we say shock in Hindi. I have nothing of that sort. So yeah, maybe I'll be relaxed in my mental state that okay, I have that money now. Let's see now what life has to offer.
That's
This is the
amazing.
problem. People who don't have money, they want to spend. And people
And
who have
the
money don't
biggest
want to
dreams.
spend.
It's just
Yeah.
incredible, right? How life works.
Yeah.
I mean, that's distracted me and have made me forget my next question. But anyway, I'm going to force myself and try and think about this topic today. Somebody from our team, right, when many months ago we were discussing this topic of fire, got very fired up. And he said, there's so much content online which is misleading, misguiding, implying a lot of crypto investing, and then just showing the fruits of that labor, which is on yachts with sunglasses, with a little hat. And is that something that, Pattu, you recommend people be careful about?
Absolutely. I mean, the same thing is happening as we speak with ChatGPT. There are so many people selling ChatGPT prompts, ChatGPT courses, and I mean, I think most of them is just bogus. The same thing is true for any online affiliate programs, and you have all these telemarketers with jets at their background and so on. I think it's all a scam. The problem is that early retirement or financial independence is a very personal concept. We cannot copy what somebody else has done. It is something that we have to ask: is it what we really want? Because I would say the most important thing is to keep ourselves active at all times, whether it is for gainful employment for somebody else or for ourselves or whatever. So yeah, we must have a plan to, after we quit, let's say we have the corpus, we have that 30x, 45x, whatever it is. What are we going to do? How are we going to spend time? So that is key. And nothing works like hard work. Nothing works like keeping your head down and investing without any expectations. So I think that goes for Shubham as well. I would say invest like a machine, but of course, live life a little bit as well. But don't set 30 or 35 as some kind of a hard target for you. Whatever happens, because anyway, you have a equity heavy portfolio. So it's also going to depend on how the market returns are going to be in future. So I think the trick is to find this balance of enjoying ourselves today, no matter how crappy our jobs are, investing a little for the future, like I said, to ensure that the party does not end in the future, and taking care of of ourselves mentally, physically, and trying to find this balance. And it's always hard, but I would say instead of uh, working towards fire, I would say work towards this balance, and I think that lead to overall happiness and a healthy life.
Work towards walking over fire, maybe. Pattu, thank you so much. It's been thoroughly enjoyable, this particular episode. Shubham, thank you so much. You've just really made it so special. I have a few parting words, but Shubham, would you like to tell Pattu anything before we end this podcast?
Yeah, so I'll tell him what I've always told him, that I have watched almost every finance influencer, every person who speaks on finance on YouTube, and I have not found a single person who is as data driven, as let's say practical as a man like him. And I really admire him, and I just hope to meet him one day, and I will keep on watching his channel, because the content which he puts out, I don't think that nobody will ever be able, nobody even has the courage to put out that kind of content on YouTube. So thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you, Shubham. But I mean, if at all you found something useful, it's because of your determination and drive. That's all I would say. It's not about me.
Must you be so modest, Pattu, all the time?
No, it's a fact. It's a simple fact that I mean, I can write what I feel like, but if it's up to the reader or viewer to take it in a positive sense and work on it. Most people don't implement things. They read a lot, they view a lot of things, but they don't take action. And when somebody takes action, it's entirely up to them, and that's something I admire. And I wish you all the best in your journey for financial independence. Just don't beat yourself about it, and don't set hard goals. Just keep investing and live life a little. Spend some things, some money on yourself, on your parents, relatives, whatever, and enjoy.
As I often keep repeating, I read this somewhere many years ago. The only person you spend the rest of your life with is yourself. So try and be as interesting a person as you can. Otherwise, it's going to get difficult.
Absolutely.
So not only that, Shubham, try and find something that gives you a lot of joy, but try and be as physically fit as you can. If you can focus on your physical fitness as much as you do listening to Pattu on your financial fitness, I think you will be ready to enjoy the fruits of all your hard work when the time is right. And on that note, the last parting point is, even if you're at Shubham's level, even if you're earning 10,000 rupees a month at his age, even if you're earning 20,000, even if you're a daily wage laborer, and that's the dream, right, Pattu? If you can take this podcast to everyone and in different languages, because I'm sure not many in India listen to us in English. Pattu's agreed to do this in Tamil as well, and that'll be our next endeavor. That's the ultimate dream, right? To get financial independence for as many Indians as possible. Because if you watch this man and you listen to him on our podcast, you will start to believe that it is possible. And this podcast is all about belief. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.